things were going on an almost daily basis. Yet he wanted, or what he wanted was to downplay the situation, to give the impression that he had come in and taken firm grip on the security situation, which wasn't the case. It's unfortunate he has brought us to this state, because before he came into office, there was a system on ground. There was an approach on ground that was gaining traction and yielding results. There was the prohibition of open grazing and the ranches establishment law enacted in 2017 and enforced at the beginning of 2018 by the immediate past administration. Now, the enforcement was being carried out by an enforcement agency, a paramilitary local security outfit that administration put in place, selected people, trained them, armed them with the level of armament that the law permitted, equipped them with the right tools of work. The livestock guards is what I'm talking about. That was put in place by the Ortom administration, and they were responsible specifically for ensuring that open grazing of livestock in Benue State was curtailed, because at the root of these attacks against the farming populations of Benue State was the issue of open grazing. And so the Ortom administration, having tried through dialogue and all manner of arrangements with the herdsmen, and having failed, decided that the only way out was to put in place a law prohibiting open grazing of livestock, which he went ahead and did. The livestock guards were being effective because across the vast expanse of Benue State, to a large extent, open grazing of livestock was curtailed. You wouldn't see Fulani herdsmen and their cattle grazing openly in Benue State anymore. Of course, the lapses were there. The livestock guards were accused of one form of, of misconduct and another here and there. But they were just young. It was a new agency. It had its teething problems. It needed a gestation period through which it could get to the right calibration, the right desired level. Alia came into office in 2023, by which time the livestock guards were barely just 5 years old. What did he do? He promptly dismantled the livestock guards. The reasons he gave were that they were accused of misconduct and all of that. He dragged the commander of the livestock guard through a criminal investigation, accusing him of illegal possession of firearms and things of that nature. Dismantled their equipment of war, took the trucks. They had specialized trucks that the Ortom administration had acquired for them, through which they usually transported cattle that were caught transgressing the law to courts, where the owners of such livestock were tried and a fine imposed, which was prescribed by law and law. There were provisions made for any herder who had a desire to rear livestock in Benue State to establish a ranch as a private business. All of this were clearly spelled out in the law. Now, when Alia came in, he dismantled the livestock guards and put effectively, by dismantling the livestock guard, he had effectively put the law in suspension, because you can't have a law without a sanction. The law is only a law to the extent of the sanctions that it can attract to those who violate it. And so the herdsmen now had a field day, and they flocked back to Benue State en masse with their cattle, and then the killings resumed. But because Alia wanted to give the impression out that he had come and the situation under him had improved, he wanted a total blanket over the killings. He cast a blanket of concealment over the killings. They were grossly underreported, while the herdsmen had a field day. How do you enforce the law? When he was pressed, he claimed that he had not repealed the law, that the law was still enforced. But the question which kept lingering was that, Mr. Governor, how do you enforce a law without an enforcement arm for that law? You have dismantled the livestock guards. You are claiming to be still enforcing the ban on open grazing, and the killings continued and continued, up to the point now that they got so bloody that he has had no choice but to come out. And the outcry, the public outcry, so high. The attention, the searchlight beamed on the situation became so, became so glaring that he had no choice. Now he's running out here to make this sort of contradictory statement. The governor has been unresponsive. The governor has been inaccessible. The governor has been unserious about the fight against insecurity. That's where we are today. Let me give you an instance, which is so sad. The latest round of killings in Nagatu and the Apa local government areas, that is in the Zone C, Senatorial District of the state, and in Ukum and Katsinala and local government areas, which is in the Sankara. The Sankara Agnes is a federal constituency comprising these three local government areas that I just mentioned.
Okay.
The five of them combined together. The Fulani herdsmen within the past week combined have killed close to 200 people. And how did this happen? In Apanagato, the locals raised alarm that they had suspected certain kinds of movement by herdsmen within the area that kind of indicated that there were imminent attacks. Attacks were likely to take place. These alarms were raised in the media, in the social media generally, which is the most prevalent form of media now. No action was taken. The herdsmen struck, killed close to 30 persons there, displaced a lot, destroyed properties, burnt down, communities and all that. Just 2 days afterwards, the locals in the Sankara axis now started raising alarm with pictures, with pictorials of herdsmen riding on motorcycles, carrying AK-47 guns, coming into settlement areas. Largely they were coming to a settlement town called Chito. I saw this on social media. I myself, on my social media handles, shared this picture with an alarm that this is the information we are getting from that locality and the government should act on it. I had specifically addressed my alarm to the special advisor to the governor on media and strategic communication, Solomon Yopep. I had also addressed it to the governor's chief press secretary, Des Okura. I had also addressed it to the governor's special advisor on internal security, Ofemha. Because these are people who see my activities on social media, and I had called on them to bring it to the attention of the governor that this is the alarm that is being raised in the Sankara axis. Nothing was done about it. 2 days after, these same people who can stay in the Sankara area, not only they were carrying out their activities in the open, buying from the markets and stocking themselves, planned their operation, they struck and killed over 100 people. How do you tell me such an administration is serious?
Honorable Yacho.
And making this kind of contradictory statement, he has the capacity to handle the situation, but he needs help.
Honorable Yacho.
He's only down trying to play with the Galani. He has not been serious in the fight against insecurity.
Honorable Yacho, I'm sure you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. As a stakeholder in your capacity or at your capacity, I'm sure that you have had in the past, some relationship with the governor. Is it impossible for you to have reached the governor personally with this intelligence that you say you had before these attacks? This intelligence that were online, that you called the attention of his aides to?
Yes. Reaching the governor directly?
Yes, directly.
Alia is the most inaccessible governor ever in the history of Benue State. Alia picks no calls. I don't think we have access to Alia. No. Who does have access to Alia? Alia is the most inaccessible governor in the entire history of Benue State. People go, Alia, this may be side talk, but this is reality. People go stay in Alia's house from morning till night and wait on him and wait and wait and wait. He doesn't attend to people. He's inaccessible even to his top aides. So this is not a man that there was absolutely no chance that I could have reached him, with information of this nature. If his on top aides, his on top functionaries of his government can't reach him, then who am I? I can't reach him. I couldn't have reached him. And I tell you, that this governor has not been serious. He had been accused severally, and the accusations weren't unfounded. It's like the accusations have been that he has links to his allies are Fulani.
Well, those are allegations. Those are allegations now, right?
But allegations tend to assume some level of credence when they are a conduct that correlate with them.
Well, we would only entertain
the seriousness, as regards the state of insecurity, and you may dictate that I'm paying, because the worst of life in Benue State is avoidable, particularly considering that in some of these cases, if only some level of proactive measures were taken, lives would have been saved. We're talking about precious lives being wasted as if they don't matter. Men, women, and children killed.
I completely understand.
As if they have no one, to protect them. This government sworn oath to protect the lives and property of the people of Benue State. Yet he acts as if he has no such duty to the people. It's sad.
Honorable Yochum, first off, your allegations of the governor's links to relationship with, these people perpetrating these allegations until there's evidence to back it up. So, yes, we won't entertain that. It's your opinion.
Yes, I'm a lawyer and I understand that. And that's why I say they're just mere allegations.
Yeah.
Mere allegations.
But let me also ask you, because you've said that the governor has not shown capacity, he's not shown, political will to deal with the situation over the 2 years that he's been governor. How much do you think that Governor Hyacinth Alia would do in a federal structure where the security architecture answers to the federal government? How much of control does any governor? How much of control does any governor have over the security architecture?
No, the point is simply this. Like I had said, firstly, a governor who has the passion, the governor who has placed it as a priority to defend, protect his people, we think even outside the box to be able to bring solutions to the problem of insecurity in his domain. It's not a straight-jacketed thing. Now, firstly, let me even make it known to you that it is very clear that Governor Hyacinth Alia has no strategy whatsoever to tackle the state of insecurity. What is his strategy? He has none. All the things, if you take a critical look at all the things he has been saying, they are neither here nor there. He has not mentioned one approach through which he intends to tackle security. Now, let me answer your question now straight away. There are levels of security. There is the traditional security that the people have, and there is the statutory security, which is vested in the exclusive powers of the federal government, with a little of that donated to the states at their own level within the frame which they may bring into place local quasi-security agencies or arrangements. And that is why you have the Amnetokum in the southwest. You have a number of them. You have the Eastern Security Network in the eastern part of the country. And even back home in Benue State, which is the specific subject matter here. And like I had mentioned earlier, we have the livestock guards, which were a creation of the laws of Benue State. They were a creation of the laws. They were established by an enactment, the legislation of the Benue State House of Assembly. Now, we also had the Benue State Community Volunteer Guards, which was also a local state security outfit. Now, Alia came on board and he dismantled both. He recruited the volunteer guards as what he has now on ground. I don't even know the name properly. The first name, I don't know it. he could name it Anyamyo, which is in local balance means the coming of the tiger, something of that nature. But how serious was that arrangement? When I say how serious, I'm reflecting, I'm making it relative in comparison with what obtained before he came into office. Livestock guys, like I had said earlier, they were efficacious, they were effective to the extent that the Fulani herdsmen themselves knew they were driven, they were consigned to certain interior area, certain rural parts of the state, which of course they were still going to be rooted out from there. So I had said earlier that the livestock, that the enforcement of the ban of open grazing was gaining traction. The livestock guards were ensuring, we are making sure of that. The community volunteer guards, on the other hand, were charged with maintaining security within the communities. Their role, to a large extent, included monitoring of the security situation in the communities, because some of these attackers, some of the terrorists, in some cases would come to certain communities and burrow there. That is, stay among the people and gather intelligence and then go ahead and perpetrate their crimes later on. So the community volunteer guards were charged with the responsibility of maintaining an eye of vigilance on the communities. Earlier came into office and disbanded both, and then had its own security arrangement, which is not a serious one in the first place. On the day of the inauguration of the Anyamyo, he paraded a number of vehicles and all of. Even at that point, people were saying that this looks very much like an arrangement. It doesn't look so serious. Well, we gave him the benefit of that. But afterwards, up to this point, as I speak with you, ask anyone in Benue State if they have cited one vehicle, one of those vehicles that was inaugurated on that day. The word on the street, the word out there is that it was just make-believe. It was just like a movie. The vehicles were maybe, leased, or the dealer was told, bring your vehicles, they put stickers on them and say, we are launching the local security outfit, it's going to be serious and all that and all that. And afterwards, the dealer came and picked these vehicles because none of them is anywhere to be found in the state. None of them. Kenya is not interested in trying to. So, what would be done on a situation of this nature where the preponderance, the overwhelming weight of security responsibility is vested in the hands of the federal government? Organize your own local security arrangement. It is possible to have community self-development and self-defense initiatives that will be so tight, because we're African people. And when I say this, I'm saying it from practical experience. If you look at our history, go to our rural areas. If you, for instance, take the infrastructural linkages in the villages where we come from as rural village people, more than 90% of the rural feeder roads were created by the communities themselves. It wasn't government that brought those roads to them. These were rural feeder roads, built from one community to the other, and then the linkages were established. The local government administration later came along and said, we take responsibility for maintaining better. Is the local government system of government working in Nigeria? That's a question for another day anyway. Even the potable water sources that our people depend on in the villages are more than 80% traditional. Those that were discovered and developed by our forefathers. That's what mostly we depend on in the villages, and several other such things. What that portrays, what that underscores, is the fact that our people have a way of life which is dependent largely on themselves and not on government. So if you as a governor is serious about safeguarding your people, yes, the federal government has the army, the police, the DSS and all of that, but you can have your people come together, organize themselves into defense cells, into vigilantes that will be responsible for surveillance and intelligence gathering within their localities to ensure that their assailants don't get to them and catch them unawares. That is on that side. Now, on the other side, there is what I like to term as the politics of security in this country. Because for you, a governor, to be able to get the right level of federal security intervention in your state, you need to play a certain level of politics. The governors have security votes. Alia gets a security vote that runs into billions of naira, speculated around 3 billion every month. What do you do with the security vote? It is for you. Now, we have Operation White Stroke in Benue State. How does Alia relate with Operation White Stroke? How does he facilitate their operations? How much does Alia give to the police, the DSS, the Civil Defense Corps, the Nigerian Army formations that are domiciled in Benue State and the other paramilitary security agencies that are in Benue State? You need to get them on board. You need to be insistent. You need to be committed to ensuring that they key into your agenda and your strategy to flush out terrorists from your state. Is he doing this? He is certainly not doing this. He is not.
You can say that for sure. You can say that.
I can say that for sure. I can say that for sure. Yes, I can say that for sure. Because the response, the response component of the security agencies in the state to the situation on ground is not what one would expect. It's not what we have the fight that is required for the enormity of the situation that we have on ground.
Okay.
And we ask him, why can't you come out and let us know what is on? And he tells us, Ali has one curious and weighed, how do I call it, the philosophy. He says it, which of course is a snide against his predecessor, that he is not someone who is going to run his security on propaganda. That where his predecessor, his immediate predecessor, Samuel Otom, was always in the media, talking about insecurity, propagating, talking about killings here and there. He prefers not to run his that way and all that. You don't want to run it in the media, but so what is your strategy? We're not even saying give us the full details of your strategy. What's your general strategy? Are you maintaining the ban on open grazing? Certainly you're not. Now, if you have suspended the ban on open grazing, what is the alternative that you have brought into place? You can't just take away something and not put in place something where the problem still exists. So, whereas, yes, federal security agencies are the BS, or rather under the command of Mr. President, why is the state governor called the chief security officer of the state? It is to say that he is responsible for feedback to the president, and he is responsible for ensuring that the security situation in his state is placed in such open light that the attention needed for it is given to it, and that it takes us to even another point. If Alia has consistently been denying that there is no serious level of insecurity in his state, in Benue State, do you then expect a serious level of intervention in the state? Because Mr. President and the Federal Security Network, the National Security Advisor and all of that, will take security briefing, will take security reports only from the governor. He's the one who is statutorily empowered to do so. So if anyone goes, Mr. President, for instance, I raise a petition to Mr. President and the governor, I say, the security situation in Benue State is so deplorable and all of that. And the governor comes and says, no, there's no serious level of insecurity. I'm taking, I have a firm handle and grasp on it. What you have in the state are mere skirmishes. I have restored relative peace to the state. Who is the president going to believe? Certainly the governor. He has been on this narrative all along up to this moment now. That he's still beginning to speak in contradictory terms. I have the capacity, but I need help. How do you have capacity? Yet you need help.
Honorable Iyoto, yes. Because of time, I would like for us to move a bit faster, which would also mean you would have to help me so we can exhaust all of my concerns that I need you to give some answers to, and that Abuja people I need you to give answers to. So I would just like for us to move a bit faster. Now, let me ask you this, coming from your points so far. You've talked about the governor setting up or empowering or even continuing, the state security outfit that was put in place by the former governor. You've also mentioned that he floated a new security outfit for the state to deal with this situation. But my question again is, when you hear from locals the caliber of fire weapons that these criminal elements perpetrating the killings in Benue State, when you hear from the locals the caliber of weapons that they come around with, and you look at what the law allows for local vigilantes who you've mentioned, and even if the state has to form a security outfit, what the law allows for that security outfit to carry. Would any local security outfit, whether vigilante, whether, whatever their nomenclature, would they be able to match the firepower of these criminal elements who perpetrate these killings? Doesn't this mean again that governors and states have to go cap in hand when it comes to security of lives and properties at the door of the federal government?
I have accepted that much, and I had said that there is what I, in my own way, have coined as the politics of security, which requires, or which rather demands that the state governor is able to deploy his persuasive and lobbying powers effectively at the federal level to be able to get to his state the needed level of federal security intervention. I've accepted that much. There is a politics of security that needs to be played in Abuja. That's one. But to answer this question directly will be premised on the basic, the basic rule of every living being, which is survival. Every living being must survive in the face of any level of odds. The living being's first reaction is to survive. So we in Benue State, or the communities wherever that have been assailed by the murderers, armed herdsmen, bandits, and the terrorists, will not just fold their arms and wait to be killed, or rather should not fold their arms and wait to be killed because the federal government is slow in coming, or their governors are not being able to get to the needed help. They need to sit up. They need to devise every means possible to be able to defend themselves. When you act in self-defense, the law grants you a certain level of latitude within which to conduct yourself in order to survive. If it is established before the law that, as a matter of fact, if you hadn't acted in the way you did, your life would have been taken away from you unlawfully, then you have a justification. And so in this instance too, what I'm saying in essence is that we are not going to sit and we should not sit and fold our arms and be lamenting and waiting as lambs to be led to the slaughter for our assailants to come and snuff the life out of us. Yes, the security and intelligence architecture of this country has not been able to curtail them. It has not been able to stop them from amassing the caliber of weapons that they do have. Whereas the same law even prohibits citizens from carrying a certain degree of firearms. Because I remember that when Samuel Ortom was governor, he put in place the livestock guards and the volunteer guards. He had sought for license to arm them with automatic firearms. He had been turned down, for the reason that the law prohibited such. Now, our people have their own traditional means of self-defense. All it will take is for a governor to go down there, villages, and organize them. Let them know that they need to defend themselves. It is not criminal for one to defend himself. It is not. Moreover, bows and arrows and certain levels of armament that the people traditionally have are not outlawed by law. So
how much can those do for them in the face of the firepower?
I'm talking about basic survival now. So I'm talking about orthodox and unorthodox methods to be deployed. I'm talking about thinking outside of the box.
Okay.
The basic point I'm driving here is that we shouldn't sit and fold our arms and wait to be slaughtered by the headsmen. We have our traditional means of defending ourselves. If the leadership, what is the role of leadership in any society? Let me portray it this way. Let me even capture it this way. What the leadership to me was essentially simply just to keep the hopes of the people up. Leadership does not feed people in their homes, does it? It doesn't. Leadership does not take care of the basic needs of people on a daily basis at the existential level, does it? It doesn't. What leadership essentially basically needs to do is to motivate the people, keep their focus and their morale in the right direction. Right now, let me give you an illustration. During Second World War, we are by the accounts that we read, we are made to understand that the war got so bad for England that by day the German Air Force was bombing London in open broad daylight until Winston Churchill became Prime Minister of Britain. In his inaugural address, what did he tell the Britons? I mean, the Englishmen. He simply told them that he had come to offer them nothing but blood, sweat, and tears. And that they will wage war with every means at their disposal. And that in doing so, they will be guided by the belief that there can be no defeat, that they must win victory because there is no survivor in defeat. The people need their governor to be able to galvanize them. The people need their governor to be able to motivate them. The people need to see in their governor the passion and the commitment to their security. That is what is lacking in High Italia. He has no such connect with the people. He does not talk to the people regarding the issue of insecurity. When you hear him sit before the media, the things he say are not down to earth. The statements he makes do not connect and resonate with the people. So that is where the divide is, and that is the divide that is really the problem. Our people are not so docile. Our people are not so cowardly that they cannot rise up and defend themselves. Okay, let me give you an illustration that perhaps I will have to couch so much to hide whatever might be incriminating from it.
If you do it in 1 minute, I would appreciate so that we can open the phone lines.
There are some of these people who are out there who are looked upon as outlaws. Especially in the Sangra area where the latest spate of killings took place. When you listen to some of them, some of these, they are hiding out there, they are outlaws, so they are hiding. But when we listen to them, they say that it's not as if they do not have the capacity to fight against the herdsmen. But their fear is that if they go and fight against the herdsmen, and the government under High Italia now incriminates them, brings upon charges against them, and things like that, what do they say? What would they say? So they are hiding away. They are not coming forth to join the people to defend themselves. This is the scenario in Benue State. State of apathy. The people are feeling left alone, abandoned. The governor, they see him as someone who is rather siding with the herdsmen and not with them. So that's the scenario we have in Benue State presently under Governor High Italia. It's a sad situation. Now all these things he's saying out there now, I just put pepper, they go over the cracks just to give something, to put a face to what has been happening. He has allowed the blood to flow in Benue State. He's responsible for every life that has been lost in Benue State.
Honorable Yotiam, let me hold you a little bit and open up the phone lines and allow people to join the discussion this morning. Join us here. Let's have your take. Let's have your voice on this issue. We're looking at the killings in Benue State and what can be done. 0705 599 9997. That's one of the numbers you can call to be part of the show. There's also 0705 597 9997. We've got approximately 4 minutes to go on the show this morning, so join us and straight to the point when you come through. Straight to the point when you come through, I beg you. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay. Well, you're trying to get back with us. 0705 599 9997. There's also 0705 597 9997. If you call any of those numbers, you'll be live on the show. Now, just as we begin to round off, Honorable Yocham, let me ask you quickly, if you can respond in a minute, I would appreciate it. I'm strict with the timing now because we're out. The governor of Benue State has said time and again that the perpetrators of these killings are foreigners. I'm sure you've also heard the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, say he doesn't think that they are foreigners. What's your take on that?
Well, for me, the issue of where they are coming from or who their identity is immaterial. The material point, the issue of for determination is that they are perpetrating crimes in Benue State. They are killing people.
But if they are foreigners, then the worry would now be about how to ensure that the porous borders in our country become a thing of the past.
That the borders of Nigeria are porous is not news.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I bother myself with that? I'm not going to remedy that. It's a notorious fact. We call certain facts notorious. It's a notorious fact, and it has been there for quite some time. So it's not now that I will be complaining that I will be raising awareness to that. Nigeria's borders all around are porous.
So doesn't that mean that if this is, foreigners doing this, it means that it just might continue to happen for a long time?
See, the point that is this: the foreigners are not just coming in without the collaboration or without a link to the local ones. The local Fulanis are the ones that are bringing in the foreign Fulanis. They have a link, definitely. It serves their purpose to come in and operate this way. So for me,
what's the purpose exactly? Sorry, you mentioned it serves a purpose. What exactly is that purpose you're pointing at?
It's a land grab agenda. It's a land grab agenda that they have in Benue State. If you go to the areas where they have depopulated the people, they have displaced the people, they have occupied those places. They have entrenched themselves in those places. They need Benue land for their cattle to feed upon. They need Benue land, perhaps maybe for political reasons, because some of their leaders, as we have heard them say, have alluded to a particular segment of history which gives them preemptory rights over that land where we are staying. So, at the crux of this whole thing is the land, whether they are using it for purpose of grazing their livestock, is still the land. Whether they are reclaiming it as their forefathers they claim, and told them it belongs to them, it's still the land. So,
but before now,
yes.
The locals,
Yes,
have coexisted with these herders. Benue has always been an agrarian community. Farming.
We have never coexisted with them.
Oh,
That's a mistake. They used to migrate, come to our communities over a particular season, and then graze their cattle, and afterwards move back again.
So when I say coexisted, when they move in, it doesn't lead to crisis that leads to loss of lives like this.
Yeah, it wasn't so. Because perhaps the numbers that were coming in were quite small. You weren't seeing large herds of cattle coming into any community. Now we must understand, or rather we are made to understand that the environmental factors have prompted them to move from certain regions where they were in some parts of Africa down into this part of Africa, that's being Nigeria. And so the pressure, the number of those who are driving cattle has been increased. And so when they come now, they are no longer coming in such friendly manner and on such friendly terms as those ones who initially used to come were doing. The volume has increased now. And so it has become a matter of force. It has become a crisis. So when we say that we used to accommodate them, the numbers that used to come, they are quite small. I grew up seeing Fulanis in my village. But in very small numbers, they will come during a particular season. Their cattle will graze on farms that have been harvested. Farms that have been harvested, their cattle will graze there. And if there was any infraction, any infringement, any issue, we will sit down and settle with them. There wasn't a correct. The numbers is what we're talking about here. The numbers that were coming there quite different from the numbers that are coming now. So that's where the crisis can be situated, or the crisis is situated. And so we have never coexisted with them. The agenda is a land grab agenda. And whether it is the foreign or local Fulanis, like I had said earlier, the material issue remains that they have come with a criminal intention and they're perpetrating crimes, and they need to be stopped. So the government devoting so much time on trying to distinguish between this type of Fulani and this type of X-Men and all that one was completely off point. Completely off point. Doesn't make any sense. Everyone knows that Fulanis are Fulani, whether they are foreigners, whether they are Fulanis in this age, they are the same. The herdsmen, they are the same. They come with the same intention into a community, kill people, destroy their property, and take over the land. So he didn't need to fly that narrative which sort of sought to overshadow the material issue that is on ground, which is providing security for the people against these people. Wherever they are coming from, they have one agenda. And that's what you should be fighting to stop. That's the point.
Well, I wish that time would allow me go, some more with you on this conversation, but hopefully we can have a part 2 to this and we can engage some more on the issues. Hopefully this also can come to an end because it's pretty sad to see what plays out in Benue at the moment, where it looks like every day now, we're looking forward to hearing a sad story of killings. It's pretty sad. Right, but I've got to thank you. I've got to thank you for your time this morning, Honorable Bemba Yotam, former national chairman, Forum of Publicity Secretaries of the PDP, former publicity secretary of the PDP in Benue State, and governorship aspirant of the PDP in Benue State in the 2027 elections. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Appreciate you. All right. Okay. Well, we'll do our best to also try to ensure that we have the governor's side on this discussion in the coming days. We'll try to reach out, to his team. We've been trying to reach out to his team to have this conversation also from their angle. It'll be nice to have that and as soon as possible for you. But let me say this as we round off. This conversation is a tough one, but a very necessary one. For the people of Benue, I think that one thing they have to remember, and not just the people of Benue, but also, everyone. Governance is not just about leadership, it's about accountability. And that starts with each and every one of us, whether as indigents of the land where we currently stay or as residents. Everyone needs to stay informed, engaged, ask the hard questions, which is what we try to do here. I can't wait for a time when this will become a thing of the past, that we no longer have to talk about the loss of lives like it's normal. Can only hope and pray that families who've lost their loved ones, even up until yesterday night in Benue State, that they find the fortitude to bear the loss. That government at all levels step up to deal with the situation without playing politics. That the political elite have the political will to nip criminality in the bud. And that we can become one happy country as we've always been, without fear when you move from your ancestral land to another part. Can only hope. That's the size of issues that matter. Thank you so much for being a part of it. We're back tomorrow for the last lap for the week. Join us again when we return. UG The Phenom be my name. The rest of the Wake Up Abuja show continues. Don't forget, destination time is 10 o'clock.
Love to the hits you can't stop playing. Back in time. Montage 99.7 FM brings you the perfect mix. Adult contemporary music right here in Abuja. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
I just wanted to thank you so much. It was a good show.
Oh, all right. I hope at least I was able to add a bit of value to the show.
You did, sir. You did a whole lot.
Okay. Can I have a clip of the?
I would check with our engineers to see if that would be
Please, I
possible.
would appreciate a clip so much.
I'll check with them.
Back home, I need to promote your station.
Yes, I will.
Because our people are looking out for stations that will be friendly enough to carry their message to amplify their plight. So I deeply welcome this opportunity. I do not take it for granted at all.
Grateful, sir.
So if you send me a clip, I will publicize it back home in Benue State, and I'm sure that you will receive so much attention from the local community there.
No,
Yeah.
sir. I'll ask the
I
engineering
intend
team.
to bring to you some other guests.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, so I'll be waiting to get a clip from you.
Once I hear from them, I'll let you know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. All right, sir. Have a blessed day, sir.
Hello, Daddy.
Hello. How are you?
How are you?
You were talking with mommy? Yeah, okay. Have you done your homework? Have you done your writing? Okay. Finish your writing now. I'll see you soon, okay? Have you given them on their food?
Yes. Food. It's not 9 o'clock.
It's 52.
Daddy,
Yeah, what did you say?
it's food. It's 9 o'clock.
Yes, it's 9 o'clock. What happened tonight? What did you say?
How are you coming up this early?
I don't know, but I'll try to find them.
Okay, so we can have it on an airport.
Well, maybe you want to go pick her.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you finish your writing, if you don't finish your writing,